strong opposition to Zurinuo's parliament reforms. Lawyer wins bid to halt deportation of asylum seekers. And landowners to bring in PNG's first five-star hotel.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Thursday's news. Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare has slammed the proposed parliament reform by Speaker Theo Zurinuo. Sir Michael, backed by the Catholic Professional Society, Trade Union President John Pasca and Dr. Simmet from the National Cultural Commission, said the move is undemocratic. They say the Speaker's actions has prompted serious constitutional questions as he is imposing his own personal views on religion and faith in the absence of a parliamentary approval.
The Grand Chief was not happy with the move to have the National Parliament reformed. He said the move is undemocratic.
Parliament didn't give approval to the Constitutional Planning Committee to do that. Parliament didn't give approval to the Speaker to change the symbols and totems that we put in the Constitution.
What Parliament Speaker Theo Zurinuo is proposing is to have all the traditional carvings in Parliament removed and replaced. The King James Bible is one of the things to be placed in the chambers of Parliament to replace what was built by the nation's founding men and women.
The totems you see in the Parliament, they are made up of a history of a country. Any history that is written, it's written by the basis of how people were living at the time. And we wrote the Constitution that way.
President of the Catholic Professional Society, Paul Herricknen, says this move raises many constitutional questions. Herricknen says the transformation is not a simple cleaning and redecoration of the parliament, rather it is a major ideological shift which stresses on religion, theology, our culture and traditions and the Christian faith.
What it means to us is it's a major step in the country's history and in the country's 40 years independence to move ideologically from a shift from our traditional cultural constitutional foundation to a new belief ideology which has not been shared with the people of Papua New Guinea.
Similar views were shared by Trade Union President John Pasca.
There are limits also to the freedoms that we enjoy under our Constitution. And right now, the Speaker and his mob, his cohorts up in Parliament, in my view, and as is the views of many here and outside us, have overstepped their mark. It's quite simple as that.
It is in contravention also, and is in violation of a number of international covenants and conventions. I make particular references to those ones that are in UNESCO, the ILO, and also the UN Convention on civil rights and political rights and cultural rights.
The Catholic Professional Society is appealing to other civil organizations and churches to join the move to stop the reform of the parliament. Stanley Ovett Jr., National EMTV News.
Asylum seekers from the Australian-run detention centre in Manus Province will not be subjected to deportation until their human rights case, currently before the Supreme Court, is fully determined. The permanent injunction sought by lawyer Ben Lomai was granted by Justice Terence Higgins during a Supreme Court appearance yesterday afternoon.
Mr. Lomai, who is representing more than 300 asylum seekers, sought the injunction after two of his clients who were denied refugee status were deported to their respective countries without his knowledge. The two male asylum seekers from Iran were deported to Tehran in the previous weeks, despite a case being brought before the Supreme Court to stop the deportations at the time.
The immigration department is already aware of this. We have served the court orders on them, and we believe that they will comply with those orders.
Mr. Lomai, who appeared in court with lawyers for immigration, the PNG Prime Minister and PNG government, argued that rights of the asylum seekers will be breached if they are deported. Minister would be denied and lost if they were sent away. On the basis of these arguments, the court was satisfied that there is a need for an injunction to preserve the status of the applicant's right.
Yeah, we are not happy with the way they carry out the deportation, it must be done in a transparent way, and there has to be some respect for our clients, because our clients were forced from Christmas Island to Manus Island against their will, and so if they are here within the country, they should be given some respect, and so if in the future we should be advised of what is going to take place the next day.
An initial interim injunction was granted by Justice Nicholas Kiriwom last Tuesday, whilst the extended permanent injunction was granted yesterday by Justice Higgins. This means that if the PNG Immigration Department continues to send back asylum seekers against their will, the department will be accountable for directly breaching PNG's highest court. Vanessa Knight, National EMTV News.
Telecom PNG and subsidiary Daytech are providing a variety of services from telecommunication, ICT, data storage, learning and device systems engineering. Telecom Group CEO Michael Donnelly and Daytech CEO Trilakana Reddy marked the expansion of Daytech services throughout the country at the opening of the new Goroka Daytech office today. The aim is to bring vital technological services to the fingertips of Papua New Guineans. EMTV's Bethany Harriman reports from Goroka.
Goroka town is expanding fast. The gateway to the highlands is the second most populated town next to Mount Hagen. Those increased numbers of people are fast becoming exposed to the evolving world of ICT and mobile phones. Papua New Guinean service providers Telecom and its subsidiary Daytech are placing the service right on the people's fingertips.
Part of Telecom is building a whole new transmission infrastructure across the country. So it's going to, what that does is enable locations like Goroka to have much more faster internet, more capacity and more accessibility.
Telecom Group CEO Michael Donnelly, whilst attending the opening of Goroka's new Daytech office, says the Telecom Group wants to economically empower Papua New Guineans through providing technology to help them advance.
As people begin to use technology, begin to use information technology over and above just making a phone call, that's going to enable them to skill themselves, to do online learning, to access online health, to access online education. Let alone start up small businesses and use that infrastructure to drive their own economic empowerment. So that's what
Daytech CEO Trilakana Reddy says the company will open branches right throughout the country.
But based on the demand from the corporate sector, we will expand our operations. We've got a lot of technical staff. We are very proud to have local, very qualified staff that can do end-to-end solution for our customers. As the country grows, as the data also opens up for the country, the internet becomes cheaper. Daytech will be there to help customers to make life much easier with data center services as well. These are our visions going forward.
The Eastern Highlands Governor Julie Soso officially opened the new branch today. What this means for the ordinary Papua New Guinean retailer or corporate client is the services of telecommunication, ICT, and device systems engineering will be found in a one-stop shop. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Goroka.
And now to our special report. The Mineral Resources Development Company, or MRDC, has officially launched the country's first and single biggest project on behalf of its subsidiary companies. The Star Mountain Plaza project is an iconic development for the country as it prepares for the APEC Leaders Summit in 2018. The world-class project is a joint venture between 3 PNG landowner groups, which include Petroleum Resource Kutubu, Mineral Resources Star Mountains, and Mineral Resources Okteri No. 2 in partnership with the state. Our reporter, Deli Waikeno, was at the groundbreaking ceremony last night.
The Star Mountain Plaza groundbreaking ceremony took place yesterday at the construction site on Wards Road, Hohola, in the nation's capital. Present for the occasion was Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, cabinet ministers, members of the diplomatic corps, and landowners, among other dignitaries. The Star Mountain Plaza project will be constructed over 2 stages. The first to consist of a 212-room 5-star hotel, close to 4,000 square feet of a multi-level convention and performing arts center and a 160-apartment residential tower. The total cost of the first stage of the Star Mountain Plaza is 1.1 billion kina, which MRDC Managing Director Augustine Mano says involves a funding partnership between ANZ Bank and the state through the spirit of private-public partnership to host APEC 2018. Mr. Mano said the Star Mountain Plaza is a visionary project and he commended the owners, the respective boards of Petroleum Resource Kutubu, Mineral Resources Star Mountains and Mineral Resources Oktedi.
After 40 years of independence, the Star Mountain project will transform the mindset of landowners as rent collectors to developers. The Star Mountain Plaza is a legacy project that claims back the landowners' heritage and dignity and contribute towards nation's building.
The second construction stage is after the APEC, when more commercial, retail and office space will be developed and potentially a second hotel. The landowner groups from the resource-rich Southern Highlands and Western provinces have pledged commitment to the project.
We, the people of Western Province, are proud to be the majority shareholders of the Star Mountain project. The Star Mountain project is truly our future generations fund. It is the dawn of a new era in landowner investment diversification. My people are beneficiaries of the Kutubu project, and we are proud to be part of this investment.
Part of the Star Mountain Plaza project is the Hilton Port Moresby. The Hilton Hotel has a 96-year history and is one of the best-known hotel brands in the world. Its presence here in Papua New Guinea represents the 84th country for the hotel brand. Last month, a management agreement was signed between MRDC and Hilton Worldwide. This will see the construction of a 5-star 212 premium room hotel. The Hilton Hotel complex will include 4 restaurants and 2 bars, a business center, health club, spa and outdoor pool and event spaces. Under the agreement, Hilton will manage the Hilton Hotel and a convention center within the Star Mountain Plaza.
We see the enormous potential to work with the local authorities to build a long-term sustainable tourism industry that showcases the natural beauty of these islands whilst providing employment and economic growth. And together with the Star Mountain Plaza, we look forward to making all this beautiful country has to offer more accessible to our global leisure travellers. Guests can look forward to all the hallmarks of a Hilton hotel, offering travellers a world of authentic experiences with product and services that meet the needs of global travellers. We shape experiences in which every guest feels cared for, feels valued, and feels respected.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said PNG is seeing record numbers of infrastructure investments in the country, and this will support the growth of the economy in the long term.
MRDC is taking a right approach in the development of assets on behalf of the landowners throughout the country. As we all know today, Papua New Guinea is experiencing an economic growth. Although it is not as large as what we have expected earlier this year, it is still an enviable growth in any terms. Let there be no doubt that Papua New Guinea is very capable of delivering a first-class APEC meeting in 2018. Everyone knows very clearly.
Marking the launch of the project, the Prime Minister unveiled a plaque. The Star Mountain sign was lit up on the hillside, and there were fireworks. Construction is already underway and expected to be completed by late 2017 in order to host the APEC Leaders Summit in 2018. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Well, National EMTV News continues with the day's other top stories coming up after this break. Stay with us. Thanks for your company and welcome back to the news. More than 3,000 local level government's councillors received their backdated allowances today. This is through the government's policy on increased allowances for local level government officials and leaders. More than 12 million kina was credited into 3,400 accounts today.
Today was the launch of the increased allowances for local level government leaders. The event was officiated by Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Intergovernment Affairs Leo Dion at the State Function Room in Port Moresby. A demonstration was carried out by bank officials and one councillor from Central Province to signify the implementation of the policy. Through the policy directive, respective government agencies have been directed to pay monthly allowances through the government's payroll system through their bank accounts.
We have to stop some time and think of where the majority of our people are and the system that we have at that level, at the bottom level. So I'm here as a minister responsible. I'm encouraging every leader to take a light and making sure that from the very national level down to the provincial government, DDA, local level government.
There is an increase from 350 kina to 700 kina per month for deputy presidents and an increase from 50 kina to 400 kina per month for councillors. The government has allocated 50 million kina in this year's budget for the implementation of this policy. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News.
Well, this year's 40th Independence Anniversary celebrations in Lae is expected to be one of the biggest compared to previous years. The Morobe Province government has pumped in 200,000 kina from its purse to support the festivities that will span over 10 days. The event's organising committee chairman Robin Callistus says contributions have also come from both the private and public sectors within Lae City.
Today, Morobe Governor Kelly Naru met with other government stakeholders and members of business houses in Lae to officiate Lae's independence celebrations this year. Public in Lae are now looking towards an extravagant celebration that will begin on the 7th to the 16th of this month to commemorate the country's 40th independence anniversary. Chairman of the celebrations organizing committee, Robin Callistus, said this year's financial support towards the celebration had come from corporate and public sectors in Lae, and it will be one of the biggest in many years.
Also, we will have the bicycle race on the 13th and canoe race on the 13th.
He said over 900,000 kina will be spent on the 10 days of festivity in the city. Morobe Governor Kelly Naru, when officiating the launch of the independence celebration today, raised concerns on the government's financial support towards supporting the event in the country's industrial hub.
And we can't see the real significance of the flow of the funds coming across.
Lae's Police Chief of Operations Timothy Pomoso, meanwhile, has sounded warning to the Lae public to be cautious as there will be a significant number of people flocking into the city to celebrate.
The limited resources and capacity manpower team that we are prepared.
He says police have already geared up to carry out security operations over the 10-day celebration. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Lae.
Over 10,000 students from the Pogera SML landowner areas will be affected if royalty funds for school fees are not released. Concerned parents and students, including Lagai Pogera MP Nixon Mangape, met today and called on Barrick New Guinea Limited to immediately release these funds. They say the former chairman of the Pogera Landowners Association is serving his personal interests not to allow the processing of the royalties.
Concerned parents and agents of the Pogera Special Mining Lease met today and called for the release of royalty payments so students will not miss exams for the 2015 academic year. Some students have been told to withdraw from schools after their fees were not paid in full.
Money blow pigni, blow student. In a blow papa or mama. And blow blast so please almost release him the money. But it must release him the money so that I must come into the trust fund now must pay school in Arab.
Like a Pogera MP Nixon Mangape says, children's future will be in jeopardy if this matter is not addressed.
Releasing money go along trust, now trustees by paying school fee long or respective schools.
Fee payments as an interim trustee has been established.
This line no can make him, so this line beat him privilege or rights for all students. now milak tokosem. And must withdraw in this la proceeding.
Because okay, you know release him because all the SML mangi you bagrab him now. Because our law on deed him toko semba you know nablo lugati money belong school trust. He got deed belong on him stop. Money all yet by lugatim all yet by paying school fee.
The interim trustee was established in accordance with a court order in August 2014 after there were reports of mismanagement of the trust funds between 2005 and 2014.
Like him, immediate government action long. Ask him Barek na executive long association law inoken independent long trust fund. Releasing money go insurance trust na pay him school fee.
Parents want this matter solved as final examinations are due in September and October. Jack Lapav, Junior National, EMTV News.
Central Bank Governor Loy Bakani has confirmed that all revenue streams from the PNG LNG project have been paid by the operator on time and as required under the PNG LNG project agreement. Mr. Bakani confirmed that landowner royalties are being paid by the operator into a trust account with the Bank of PNG. He said about 108 million kina in landowner royalty payments have been deposited. The disbursement of funds to rightful landowners will be made once the government completes landowner identification processes. He added that the operator of the PNG LNG project paid its first development levy of 73.8 million kina in March this year. And now we check out the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3565 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, our kina was trading at $0.3490, $0.4926 Australian dollars, $0.3074 euro, and 41.67 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and copper closed the day lower, coffee and cocoa closed higher. Palm oil crude oil closed higher as well, while copper closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 293 points higher, the ASX closed at 2 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 5 points higher. Among stories coming up after the break, the students' boycott at Woodall University takes another turn. Stay with us for the details. Welcome back to the news. The prolonged student boycott at the University of Natural Resources and Environment had taken a new turn over the last 24 hours. Students have come under a lockdown today following a tension between students and locals. The tussle between students and the administration over a 60% increase in tuition fees has now involved police and locals from surrounding areas.
The peaceful boycott at the University of Natural Resources and Environment has turned violent last night. The 6-day impasse that began last Thursday between the student body and the administration has resulted to 2 students injured in a revenge attack involving locals. Both students are in their 3rd year and are from Simbu province.
2 of our students were attacked.
It's understood the attack comes after a disagreement between local construction workers on campus and the students during the boycott. Police have discouraged students from leaving the campus in fear of more revenge attacks from the locals.
Police, we will step in when there are law and order issues, especially when there's violence and destruction to property. That's when we will step in and we will deal with students who break the law.
The recent string of events over the last 6 days was spurred by confusion amongst the students over a 60% increase in tuition fees. Student leaders say the boycott wouldn't have gone violent if the administration had attended to what was initially stated as a simple issue. On Monday, the students protested and demanded the removal of George Korowi as the university's bursar.
For PNG UNRA,
Today, Mr. Korowi spoke out for the first time since the boycott began last Thursday, and he brushed off all allegations leveled against his name.
The students of PNG UNRA have actually misunderstood or misinterpreted the fact of the amount. And I'm sure what they've done, they've understood, they've known what is real.
There are no signs of breakthrough yet made between the students and the administration. The standoff remained tense as students are told to remain within the campus as they await the arrival of a delegate from the Office of Higher Education to talk to them. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Autonomous Bougainville Government President Chief John Momis has called on the national government to refrain from discussions concerning the controversial Panguna mine. Chief Momis explained that Bougainville has its own mining law that doesn't allow outside or foreign influences on Panguna mine. MTV's Fabian Hakalitz has this story.
The Bougainville House of Representatives passed one of its legislations, Bougainville Mining Act 2014. The law recognizes customary land owners as legitimate with the right to say no to exploration and mining licenses. President Momis said PNG mining law has no application because Bougainville's mining law is independent.
Whatever you do outside the Bougainville mining law is illegal and cannot be accepted by international law.
Opposition leader Don Poli also supported Chief Momis over Panguna mine, and any secret meetings to be conducted are unrecognized. Panguna mine is an issue that must be treated with high profile of maturity because it's sensitive.
Just leave it to them. The government of Papua New Guinea must not take leadership in this. It must provide support and facilitation.
Poli said matters concerning Panguna mine are for Bougainvillians, landowners, and its National EMTV News.
Pagera Hospital will no longer operate as a private health facility. This comes after relevant stakeholders failed to provide funding under the Pagera Mine Memorandum of Understanding. Pagera Hospital Chairman Jonathan Paraya says the hospital is the only health facility and must be supported to serve the people. Chairman Paraya said the current board and management will remain neutral to avoid political interference. The decision to transfer the management of the hospital follows a meeting by the Pagera Development Authority this week. Well, more than 400 grade 10 students will not sit for their final exams if the Education Department does not meet their fees. This group was selected to pilot the standard-based education program at Waigani Christian College in the nation's capital. The private school was selected by then Minister for Education, now Finance Minister James Marape, to pilot the project. The aim was to trial out the no grade 8 dropouts concept.
Formerly known as Waigani Christian School, Waigani Christian College will be enrolling its first grade 11s next year. The school was first established 2 decades ago. In 2013, the school was selected to pilot the government's standard-based education policy. In this context, no grade 8 dropouts, all straight to grade 9 and then grade 10. However, this was proposed by then Minister for Education James Marape before he changed portfolios shortly afterward and a new minister came on board. Through the arrangement, the National Capital District Education Division selected 500 students to go through the program, with 500,000 kina made available by the National Department. The department, through a letter, has advised the school to find other means to pay for the bills for these students. The students are left with no choice but to pay 2,000 kina charged by the school's management, and most say they will not be able to afford it.
That's what myself, I don't want to go to the streets because I know my mistakes, I know my failures, and I know where I am now.
They cannot pay for the money. Where will we go? It's really hard because some of our parents, they cannot afford the type of money to pay. Even they cannot pay for this 2,000 kina.
Director and founder of the school, Benjamin Moole, says the education department must pay in order for these students to complete their education.
And we have 5 more weeks before sitting down for national exam for these students. And these students, they sit down for the written expression exam already. And they're going to sit down for this grade 10 exam coming. But then, where are we going to get the money to pay the salaries for the teachers so that the students can complete the academic year? I cannot go ahead and use my own facilities and use my private money to fund these students. Because my school is from elementary up to grade 9 are my students. But these grade 10 students, they are not my students. They are students brought in by the national government and NCD education. And they must be responsible for these students here.
He said salaries for the teaching staff are mainly sourced from the fees, and it costs the school 1 million kina for staff salaries. Michelle Amba, National MTV News.
Well, National MTV News continues with Trukai Sports. That's coming up next, and we'll give you all the details when we come back. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Following the success of the Pukpuk's 15s side in the Oceania Cup and the 7th squad in the World Rugby Series circuit earlier this year, Interoil has now jumped on board to assist the code. Interoil Executive Vice President of Papua New Guinea, Isikeli Tareka, today announced the Interoil Tarago Development Squad, who will be competing in the Singapore Sevens tournament next month.
Today's announcement was a sign of a building relationship amongst the code, which has been struggling with funding support, and a corporate body who has contributed to much of the country's development. Royal Executive Vice President of Papua New Guinea, Isikeli Tareka, said the sponsorship wasn't entirely about the company's image, but to assist in a code that has the potential to reach and perform in the international arena.
Develop sports at the development level in Papua New Guinea, and we feel that the Pukpuk Sevens format is a well-known brand in rugby. I've been to almost 15 Hong Kong Sevens. In the early days, we were quite a large part of that particular format till they changed it to the World Rugby Sevens format.
Very excited, and with development, to ensure that there is development, there needs to be consistency. We are very excited that Kelly has committed to PNG Rugby for the next 3 years. So.
Earlier in the year, the PNG Pukpuk Sevens team qualified for the World Series circuit, competing in Hong Kong and topping their pool. With the momentum and, most importantly, exposure to a higher standard of rugby, the team, who struggled to perform in the Pacific Games, showed many signs of strength, particularly in their backline dominance from Wesley Varley, Butler Morris, Arthur Clements and Henry Kalua.
Stunning try for Papua New Guinea.
Lorraine Genia, National MTV Sports.
Round-robin matches in the Port Moresby AFL season have been wrapped up, with 5 teams now into an exciting finals round this weekend. The grand final will be held on the 26th of September, with the venue yet to be confirmed.
In the senior division, Concept Kobonis sit in first place, followed by Tauranga Suns, Gordon's Kokofas, Gerehu Magpies and the Bomana Cats. Kobonis take this weekend off, which will see second place Tauranga Suns take on third place Kokofas, and the winner to play Kobonis next weekend. And in the 4th and 5th placing, Magpies play Cats. The loser of this match bows out of the race, while the winner plays the loser of Suns and Kokofas. The Kokofas and Magpies also have teams in the top 5 in the reserve and the women's division, who will also be fighting for a grand final spot. The finals playoff will be held on the 5th, 12th, 19th and 26th of this month. Elijah Lavette, National MTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after these short messages. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Good to have you back with Trukai Sports. The West Papua community here in the nation's capital have formed a rugby league team called the West Papua Warriors. The purpose is to spread awareness of the West Papua cause by taking part in tournaments around PNG and eventually internationally. The sole idea is to use sport as a tool to be able to spread the message of freedom and justice to people who may know little about West Papua. The Fairfax Tropical Nines tournament will be the first tournament here in Port Moresby on the 21st to the 24th of this month. To NRL, the Brisbane Broncos will face the Melbourne Storm in the opening match of round 26 tonight at Suncorp Stadium. The Broncos currently sit at the top of the table on an equal 38 points with the Sydney Roosters, while the Storm sit in 5th position just ahead of the Bulldogs and Rabbitohs.
In the final round before the NRL finals begin, the informed Brisbane Broncos will go head-to-head against the Storm in what is set to be a thriller. The Broncos will be going into tonight's match without star 5'8" Ben Hunt, who has been ruled out with an injury.
Brisbane are turning it on tonight!
This evening's match will also be Justin Hodges' last home game, so Brisbane will be looking to make sure he's given a memorable final match at home. The Storm, on the other hand, have shown why they are one of the best this season when they defeated the North Queensland Cowboys last weekend.
Just jumping out from dummy half, the Cowboys looking out the back. And
despite not having champion fullback Billy Slater, youngster Cameron Munster has proven that he is capable of wearing the #1 jersey for the Storm. Tonight's key matchup will be between the halfbacks, Anthony Milford going up against the more experienced Cooper Cronk. Cronk's accuracy with his kicking game will be key for the Storm, but they will need to keep an eye on the elusive Milford, who is dangerous when given enough room. Dion Kombang, National, MTV Sports.
Over to football, and Cook Islands is closer to qualifying for the OFC's 2018 FIFA World Cup after moving to the top of the ladder on match day 2 in Tonga with a 1-0 win over Samoa. The second match saw American Samoa prevail 2-1 against Tonga, eliminating the hosts and setting up a 3-way contest for the top spot.
Yeah, listen, it was really tough. I mean, Samoa took the game to us. We had a game plan, and that was ultimately to stop them and try and nick a goal. You know, they're favourites based on history. So, yeah, boys worked extremely hard, executed what we asked them to. You know, got back into their shape, and we kept limited them to shots from distance and set pieces. So, you know, really proud of us, and hopefully we now got this in our hands to go finish the job.
The opening match was always going to be crucial to the eventual outcome of the tournament, with both Cook Islands and Samoa having secured wins on the opening day. Samoa may have started the match as favourites in the eyes of many, but it was the Cook Islands who shaded the opening period and were duly rewarded just before the break in spectacular fashion. Taylor Sagabi, hat-trick hero on opening day, fired in a free kick from wide. The second period continued in a similar vein to the first. Cook Islands could have taken the match by the scruff of the neck on the hour mark via a well-worked 3-man counter-attack. At the other end, Cook Islands could have conceded in the most bizarre fashion imaginable. Its attempt to block a shot from the edge of the penalty area looped into his own crossbar with the goalkeeper stranded. The match lost a little of its momentum in the dying stages, which suited the Cook Islands, who continued to restrict Samoa to half chances. American Samoa and host Tonga shaped up for the second match, with both teams needing all 3 points to stay alive. The tone for an open encounter was set in the very first minute. American Samoa immediately set up creating numerous half chances of their own, but invariably, the final touch proved problematic. The second stanza, however, proved very different. Firstly, Tonga netted just 2 minutes after the break. However, American Samoa drew level 2 minutes later, and got even better for American Samoa. Cook Islands now head into the final match day needing just a point from their encounter against American Samoa to secure qualification into Stage 2. But the chances of 3 teams finishing on 6 points remains very much a possibility. Jeremy Moggy, National, MTV Sports.
Well, that story wraps up Trukai Sports tonight. We'll have all your weather details for the next 24 hours when we come back. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region, all centres relatively fine. In Momase, fine weather expected in Medang, Wewak, Bunimore, mostly fine expected in Lae and Wau. In the New Guinea Islands, mostly fine expected in Lorengau, fine weather in Kimbe, Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, while Buka to look forward to a few showers. And in the islands, all centres morning fog clearing, then fine weather. Forecast for small ships, but there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of Milne Bay, islands to Finschhafen to Vitia Strait, Siasi Island to Long Island, including all New Guinea Island regions. Looking at waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait, Daru to Kiwai Island, Kerema to Yule Island, Hood Point and Samarai, seas of 1.5 meters to 2 meters, waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, Manus including its western group of islands, New Ireland, New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 2 meters to 2.5 meters, waters of Samarai Island through to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, seas of 1.5 to 2.5 meters, waters of Finschhafen including Vitia Strait, Siasi Island to Long Island, seas of 2.5 meters to 3 meters, and waters west of Long Island, Madang to Bogia, through to Wewak, Aitape, Fanimo, and the northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 0.5 meters to 1.5 meters. And ocean forecast for PNG areas: Coral Sea, seas moderate with southeast winds at 15 to 20 knots. Solomon Sea, seas rather rough with southeast winds at 20 to 25 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas rough with southeast winds at 25 to 30 knots. And lastly, Pacific Ocean Sea, slight to moderate with southeast winds at 10 to 20 knots. Now, before we go, recapping our main headlines again tonight. Strong opposition to National Parliament's reforms push. Also, lawyer wins bid to halt deportation of asylum seekers. And landowners launch PNG's first 5-star hotel. Well, that's been the news this Thursday, the 3rd of September 2015. From the news team, I'm Tokana Hasavi Jr. Thanks for your company. You take care and stay happy. Good night.